So welcome to One Heart, One Mind Center for Spiritual Living. And we're going to kick off our service this morning with music from Ira and Julia.
Yay. We're going to start with just a sweet melody for everybody to pick up on at home. Very simple words.
Simple non-word words.
Just a nice grounding way to enter this service.
You can enjoy the first melody. There's 3 melodies. If any of those melodies appeal to you, then sing along.
Bum diddy bum bum diddy bum bum diddy bum bum diddy bum diddy bum bum diddy bum bum diddy bum diddy bum 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 diddy bum bum diddy bum bum diddy bum bum diddy bum diddy bum 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 diddy bum bum diddy bum bum. Keep our hopes alive. We can raise our voices high. And more peace has come. We can live and love as one. And be alive. Alive. Feel this spiritual sound.
We can
hold each other tight. We can stand up in the night and be alive. Bum bum diddy bum bum diddy bum 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 diddy bum bum diddy bum bum.
Beautiful, just beautiful. Perfect for this season of light. And I'd like to invite our practitioner of the day, Reverend Leslie Massopust, to do our opening invocation. Welcome, Leslie. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. If you would please close your eyes if you so feel like it, and join me as we begin this service. And we join together in this season of great joy, with happiness and love in our hearts, knowing that we have been divinely directed to be here for many reasons. And our hearts and minds are open to receive here this morning, whatever it is that we need to see, to know, and to hear. We know that whatever it is, that it enriches us physically and mentally and spiritually. And we are grateful for the musicians that help with this increased consciousness for the lesson this morning, for everyone who is participating, knowing that Spirit has great things in store for us. And this is part of the learning process of our lives. We give thanks for this. We know that it is so. We let it drop into law. And together we say, and so it is.
So it is.
I have a story for you this morning, and it actually takes place at Christmas time. Way back 1,000 years ago, or what seems like 1,000 years ago, when I was in elementary school, we lived about a block away from the school, and the teachers were allowed to have Christmas trees in the classroom. And they would decorate them with tinsel and ornaments and little goodies. And then when it's time for the Christmas break, they would take it apart and they would dump the trees out by the dumpster in the schoolyard. Oh, I had a brother that was a year younger than I was in school. And he decided when he was in 3rd grade that he was going to bring home one of these trees. So I look at the window and I see him dragging this tree home, and older sister with lots of pride. I freak out. What are my friends gonna think? What are they gonna think when they see my brother doing this? What about the family? Well, Mom set up the tree in a container and set it on top of what we had. It was called the library table in our living room. Half of the table was my father's electronics equipment, because in his spare time he did repairs like fixing radios and record players and amplifiers, that type of thing. But the other half was empty. And Mom would put the tree in a container and set the container up there. And at the time, my brother and I and Mom were the only ones to decorate the tree, because the little ones weren't old enough to help with that yet. So Mom would pop a large container of popcorn and get out the needle and the string and start threading the popcorn. And my brother and I, she got out the colored construction paper, and we would cut the strips and make the colorful chains for the tree. And then we would deck the tree and, twirl it around and have a pretty tree for the holidays. I think about those times now. And when I was freaking out back then, I realized what a blessing that was on his part to bring that tree home, because he continued to do it until he graduated from 6th grade and had to go to a different school. And how we would not have had a tree had it not been for him, and the camaraderie and joy and merriment that was experienced as a result of that. And now I am thankful for him. I sent him a text saying what kindness I thought that was that he did. Oh, what a blessing. Yes. Thank you. Okay. We have our affirmation. Okay. Today, I realize my loving connection to all that is. I honor myself. I honor others. I honor all the creations of the earth. I honor the earth itself. I see myself in all that exists. We are one, we are one, we are one, and so it is. And now Ira And Julia, I believe you had some more music for us.
You are correct. What a beautiful story that was.
That was beautiful.
Thank you. The vastness of outer space
Issued a plan
to separate sea from sky and sand. But
how to gain form to the night. Take a breath, make a wish, sing, let there be light. Let there be light tonight, 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 tonight. The depths of the forest,
we fashioned
our drum to echo the heart-beating heat of the sun. Call it back from its dark winter's night. Round the torch in the cave,
we
sing, let there be light. Let there be light tonight, 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 tonight. In the scorch of the desert, the Maccabees strained their faith, it was fixed on a flickering flame.
When one can of oil burned 8 nights,
Every day they would pray, singing, let there be light. Let there be light tonight, 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 tonight. In the wick of the candle, the flame of your heart, there's an ember remembering back to the start. So if nothing is working out right, take a breath, make a wish, sing, let there be light. Let there be light tonight, 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 tonight. Let there be light. Let there be light tonight, 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 tonight. Let there be light. Let there be light tonight, 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 tonight.
Let there be light. Boy, doesn't that just fit perfectly with the theme of the month and the just the season,
Yeah.
the whole season. Thank you so very much. Beautiful.
You're welcome.
And welcome everyone to One Heart, One Mind Center for Spiritual Living's online Sunday service and our online community. You know, and as I said this month, we're talking about community, the benefits of community, the joys of belonging to a community, and also the challenges of belonging to a community, as we move through these winter holidays. It seems like the perfect time to focus on how we come together in kind of a collective human experience of these winter holidays. Last week, I pointed out to you that while we're in a shared community, we are a collection of individuals. Any community is just a collection of individuals, which means our experience of community has to begin within each of us. First we have to discover who we are as individuals and who we are in relationship to each other, and then figure out what it is that we bring to the party. What do we bring into the community? And in keeping with the theme, perfect song, this time of year is such a celebration of light. The holiday lights are everywhere. Actually, the lights are probably my favorite part of the season. And, we tend to equate light with the source of goodness and of ultimate reality of God. We use the image of light to describe all kinds of things. I was in the meditation talking about the magic of photons, because that's what light is. We use light to explain how we intuitively know something. We say, suddenly the light came on. We've all seen that image of a light bulb above somebody's head. It just kind of represents that moment when the spark came on, when the light came on. We say, oh, now I see the light, meaning that we get something very clearly that once maybe it was dark or confusing. We use the image of light, flowing into the dark places to light our way. And when light is such a symbol of the mystery and the majesty of the divine kind of spreading out through its creation. I'm reminded of those photos where the rays of light are streaming through the parting clouds. Light is just a touchstone of brilliance and good and God and spirit and all of the things that draw us into the perception of a larger life. And I talked about this in the meditation too, I also love the image of each of us as these individual lighthouses, shining our light to guide the way for ourselves and for others. And inevitably, as we shine our light, it's always reflected back to us. That's just the nature of light. And the idea of that eternal light within me, it reminds me that we don't really have to work hard to connect with the light. We do not have to make a real effort. It's simply a matter of recognizing it and allowing it to shine. Because as metaphysicians, we know that whatever we put our attention on, it expands. Jesus told us, "You are the light of the world." And I really love this one quote by Anne Lamott. You know who Anne Lamott is? She's one of my favorite authors. She said, what did she say? She said, lighthouses don't go running around all over an island looking for boats to save. They just stand there shining. That's all we have to do. Stand there, connect with the divine and shine. The divine is always present within us and we can just stand there and shine. And the more we connect to that inner light, the more we learn to trust it as the source of light. We were reading a chapter in Ask and It Is Given in our Tuesday night class. And one of the lines that really resonated with me was that you must first accept that well-being is the only stream that flows. The well-being is the only stream that flows. And of course, light flows, just like water. I always think of the flowing light. And so the thing is, recognizing and trusting that stream of well-being, that's our journey. That's our human journey. And if I'm being completely honest, I have to say that sometimes it's a challenge to remember that. But, we're the ones that can choose to stand in its flow or to cut it off, kink the hose. We're the ones who have to let go of what we think we know and trust the flow of that well-being. We talk so much about standing in the flow, standing in the goodness of spirit that wants to move through us. So when I was talking about flow, I was reminded, and trust, trusting the divine, I was reminded of a story. You may have heard it. I think I've told it before. It's a story about a man who was running along the side of a mountain, and he lost his footing and he slipped off the ledge of the cliff. But thankfully, he was able to grab a hold of a branch that was sticking out the side of the cliff. But he was just kind of hanging there precariously for dear life. And so he started yelling. Help, is anyone up there? And suddenly he heard this reply, yes. And in his astonishment, he just said, God? And the voice replies, yes. And the man asks, God, can you help me? And the voice of God replies again, yes, you need do only one thing. Anything, the man says. And God's booming voice commands, let go. To which the man replies, is there anyone else up there? It is not easy to release control and to trust life. You know, that's just our continuing journey as human beings, learning how to trust and to share and to just to stand in that internal light and to just let go, stand in the flow. You know, I just think letting go, I know that's cliche, it's actually one of the most poignant spiritual truths. You know, we just don't know what we don't know, but God does. And so we can let go and let God. Another cliche. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about Hanukkah because today is the first day of Hanukkah. And although I am not Jewish, there's something about the story of Hanukkah that I really resonate with. And I think it's the part about the eternal light, you know, the flame within us that never goes out, and how as we walk through the darkest days of the year, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, the story of Hanukkah kind of draws our attention to the infinite nature of the infinite life, the infinite flame of the divine within. You know, and I'm sure you're probably familiar with the story of Hanukkah. So for my Jewish friends, if I get anything wrong, please correct me. The Hebrew word for Hanukkah means dedication. And it's in recognition of the dedication of the second temple in Jerusalem. Actually, Hanukkah seems to have several different names. I found several. Feast of Dedication, Festival of Lights, Feast of the Maccabees. And Hanukkah stretches out over 8 days. And it truly does reaffirm the ideals of Judaism. You know, our oneness with God, with the light of the divine, of ideals of community, and especially service. And these ideals are acknowledged by lighting the candles on the menorah over the period of 8 days, the 8 days of Hanukkah. And in Hebrew, the word menorah means lamp. And the ancient menorah was continually burned in the temple. It was an everlasting life, an oil lamp that was never supposed to go out. How beautifully metaphysical is that? But in the 2nd century, Jerusalem came under the control of the Greeks. And the Jewish people were forced to accept Greek cultures and beliefs. You know, that's what the Greeks did. When they conquered a country or a people, they enculturated the people. So the Jewish people were told they couldn't keep the Sabbath, they couldn't keep kosher, and their temple was desecrated. But the story goes that a small group of people rebelled, and they became known as the Maccabees. And over several years, it wasn't a really quick thing, they finally took back the temple and they relit the menorah. And the story goes, as they reclaimed the temple, they only had enough oil to light the lamp for 1 day. But that lamp miraculously stayed lit for 8 days. And that's why the Hanukkah menorah has 9 candles, 1 for each of the 8 days that the flame stayed lit, and 1 to light all the others. And over the 8 days, 1 candle is lit each night in celebration. Or we could say to rededication to the underlying spiritual principles of Judaism, our oneness to God, our oneness with the divine light, community, service, And you know what? I also find that ninth candle that lights the other candle a really interesting metaphor. That candle that sits in the middle of the menorah, the one that's used to light up is light the others, is called the shamash, which translates, I love this, to attendant or servant candle. So if someone says be like the shamash, you know, they're asking you to be in service, to be a service to the whole. So the metaphor of Hanukkah for us is that there is within us that inner flame that can never go out, and that nothing can hinder the divine light from shining within us and spreading out. And like the shamash, we light the flame, we bring the light to our families and our friends and our communities. What a beautiful reminder. Be the shamash. And as I said last week, you know, there are many, many benefits and blessings to belonging to a community. You know, community supports us on our journey in so many ways. It supports us in discovering who we are and our place in the world. You know, it invites us to discover what gifts we have to give. What do we bring to the party? And community educates us through the sharing of ideas and values, and you know, we get them from spiritual literature, the Science of Mind textbook, from the Bible, from all different religious spiritual texts, and from each other. We share ideas, we bounce them off each other. And community teaches us tools and spiritual practices. We practice them together, we practice them individually, that support us as we walk through challenging times, which, you know, we know they're going to come. It's life. And community also, at the deepest sense of the word, I think, gives us a sense of belonging. It gives us a safe place to turn as we walk through life's challenges, you know, and because community is all about relationship, it actually gives us the opportunity. It creates the structure for us to practice showing up in love and showing up in care and compassion for each other. And it invites us to strengthen our resolve to bring all of these qualities into every area of our life. You know, I mean, you're kind and caring and loving to the grocery store clerk and to the, you know, DMV person. It teaches us, it lets us practice in a safe place to bring all of that into our daily lives. Community teaches us to live the spiritual truths we discover within us. It really does, even when it's challenging and inconvenient. You know, I read about this poll that was done that it asked potential churchgoers what they wanted out of a spiritual community. And one of the most, not the most, common answers was a sense of belonging. You know, as human beings, even if we're introverts, you know, there is a joy in belonging and in feeling a part of something. You know, we feel comfortable and safe in our little tribes, you know, our families and our communities. And that's another thing that community teaches us. It teaches us that we are more alike than different, that regardless of any of our outside identifiers, you know, our age or ethnicity, our gender, our socioeconomic status, or our political or our religious views or beliefs, we all live within the one life of God, you know, connected to that eternal flame that's always burning. You know, now, that doesn't mean that communities are all rainbows and unicorns and Care Bears. Sometimes community can get a little messy and present us with some uncomfortable learning situations. Catch that? Learning situations, everything is about learning. Have you noticed that sometimes when people come together that they might bring their personal agendas or their untamed egos, or they have a set of expectations that they want met? Of course, not our community, right? So joking aside, we've actually had relatively few confrontations in our spiritual community, but it has happened. But I've noticed that when things come up, and they do, we have this foundation of spiritual principle. We can stand on spiritual principle. You know, we know how to go directly to the principle to ground ourselves and stand in the flow of the light of well-being, you know, because there's only one flow. There's only one life, there's only one flow. You know, community can be the gateway to some of the richest moments of our lives. You know, when we really dive in, community it's not just a gathering of people, it's a gathering of hearts. It's a very heartfelt experience. You know, community puts us in touch with our hearts. We can feel our oneness with each other. There was an author named Joseph Pierce, and he wrote that the heart is the center of the neurointelligence, which of course we know because we know that HeartMath has done a lot of research around that. That organization has discovered, and this was actually the research that was done by another physician, I can't remember his name right now, but he discovered that the heart has within it 40,000 neurons that actually send more information to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. And these neurons in the heart work independently of the brain, which is kind of remarkable. But anyway, Pierce wrote that a single cell taken from the heart can live in the laboratory for a while, and then it kind of fibrillate and dies. But if you put two heart cells next to each other, they live much longer. They quit the fibrillating and the pulsing together, and they pulse together in unison. And you know, isn't that how we build community? You know, we beat together, our hearts come together. You know, and there apparently is an electromagnetic field around each cell, and the two fields kind of lift each other up and bring them back to life. Because we know that we belong to the one beating heart of the life of God. Can you feel that? We belong to the one beating heart of the life of God. We thrive when we acknowledge that we're living together within the one light of God. And that's what community gives us the opportunity to do, to belong, to love, to serve. You know, community happens within this energetic connection that we feel with each other. And it teaches us to live harmlessly, to really care for each other. And it's actually the cornerstone of most spiritual traditions. I was reading this one thing about Islam. In Islam, the idea of surrendering to the flow of the divine within us is very pronounced. As a matter of fact, the Arabic word Islam means surrender. It means the perfect peace that comes when one lives a life of surrender. So I was imagine a world in which we all surrender the flow of well-being. You know, the world would be transformed. You know, we could build a world community that reflects the origin of the word community, which I shared with you last week. The origins of the word community comes from the Latin communitas, which means together we perform a service to ourselves, a service to our families, to our communities, to the world. And we create a world in community that brings out the best in us, you know, and it allows us to give that best to our families and to our communities. You know, when I was teaching elementary school, Abigail, you might remember this. I think you taught elementary school as well. One of my favorite activities was to read the book Stone Soup. You've probably heard it at some time or another. And we'd read the story Stone Soup, and then we'd actually make soup and then have soup together in the classroom. But the story of Stone Soup beautifully illustrates the magic of community, you know, when we let our inner light shine collectively. So the story of Stone Soup goes like this. A mysterious stranger comes to this small, tight-knit town, and he claims that he has a magical stone that can cook soup. You can cook it again and again and again, and soup will always come out of the stone. So everybody is a little in disbelief, but you know, they're interested. So to prove it, he puts the stone in the bottom of a boiling water pot in the middle of the town square. And as the water begins to boil, he declares, he says, maybe some spices would make this just a little bit better. So someone offers to go and get some spices. And then the water continues to boil, and the bystanders are starting to get fascinated. And then the stranger says, well, maybe some potatoes and some carrots would top this off really well. And so someone offers to go get those. And when the soup is just about done, the stranger says, maybe some meat and maybe a little flour, which is kind of round off the experience for us of the soup. And someone offers to continue or contribute that. And then, it continues on in that way. And in the end, of course, the villagers are amazed that the most wonderful soup is prepared from just this stone. And they have this great feast together, enjoying and celebrating the magic of the stone and the soup. But for me, and I'm sure for you as well, the story illustrates the wonderful way in which we are fed when we belong, when we're contributing, and just how with so much ease and grace, it happens when we come together in community. I mean, these people didn't plan it. This just kind of flowed and people decided to contribute. We sometimes think that we have just too little to give. And we forget that we're not alone, that there's this vast reservoir of people and things within this one life of God. God's substance, God's love is everywhere. And we have the ingredients to contribute. In our spiritual communities, we each have love and humor and insight and wisdom and creativity and passion to share with each other. We each add our own ingredients into the soup and we're fed and we're nourished. And our hearts beat together and our arms wrap around each other, either physically or metaphorically. So I'd like to mention one last, we haven't talked about Christmas, but we'll talk about that next week when we come together. But one last holiday that's coming up this week. On Wednesday, is the winter solstice. So the 21st, I believe, is Wednesday. Solstice means sun standing still. And in the Northern Hemisphere, for us, it's the first day of winter, the shortest amount of light and the longest amount of darkness for our 24-hour period of the year. And, the indigenous cultures really address this. And the winter solstice to them was, what did they say? They said that it was the night that the great mother goddess gave birth to the new sun. So it was the recognition of the starting of the cycle of the seasons again. In other cultures, it was called the Yule, excuse me, the day that a huge Yule log was added to the bonfire and everyone danced and sang around the Yule log. And it was to awaken the sun from its long winter's sleep. And then in Roman times, it became the celebration of Saturnus, the harvest god, and Mithras, the ancient god of light. In all communities and all cultures, we have this celebration that these winter holidays and celebrations of light are all about the promise of the new light, the promise that winter is not going to last forever, that life continues, and it's an invitation for us to come together and to support each other and to stay in good spirits, come together in community. I was reading some quotes about the solstice, and I ran across this beautiful one by Gary Zukav, the Seed of the Soul guy, who I love. And he wrote, I have it on 2 pages here. He wrote, what did he say? He said, oh, that's not it. I'll find it. He said, both the winter and the summer solstices are expressions of love. Do you love it? They show us the opposition of light and dark, expansion and contraction that characterizes our experiences in the Earth School, so that we can recognize our options as we move through our lives together. It does. It shows us this wonderful cycle and contrast in human form. I know Abraham talks a lot about that, about the contrast of living in form and being in divine. What a wonderful adventure we get to live as we explore those wonderful contrasts. So here it is. My invitation to you this week, as we celebrate Hanukkah and solstice, and then next week move into Christmas, is to make this season of light an internal celebration first, a recognition and a connection of that internal flame of spirit within you. And then to dive deeply into the heart of it, and then bring that out and share it, reflect it out into the world like you're the lighthouse, reflect it into the dark places in your own way with everyone you meet throughout your day. You know, those who are close to you, those of you you've never met. And let's remember as we celebrate these winter holidays that there's only one life, and that life is God's life, and that life is perfect, and that life is our life now. Thank you, Ernest Holmes, for that. So let's take a nice deep centering breath. Oh, as we pray together, knowing that it's all God, all good, all the time, and that we are a part of it, that we are burning brightly with the photons of the inner light, with the flame, the mystery, the majesty, the brilliance, the magnificent of this divine life that is moving in and through and as its creation, through everything through us. And that we are collectively shining it together in this most amazing, brilliant, bright light. And as we come together in this brilliant light, we transform the world because we sit in the reality of God, the goodness, the infinite substance, the compassion, the kindness, the fun, the joy of the divine life. So I just relax in that, knowing that all is well, knowing that this recognition is the shift to standing in that stream, that flow of well-being, which is always present. So I just give great thanks for this. I relax in the knowing that all is well. Thank you, God. And when we do our work, we let it go and let spirit do spirits. And together we say, and so it is. And so it is. You know, I don't really remember who's doing the sacred giving. I think it's you, Rob. Or is it you, Lisa? That's not her. It must be you.
It's going to be me. It is going to be me. Okay. You know, it's second half of December, and I was thinking a little earlier that means that tax year 2022 is coming to an end, and we're going to end up paying taxes on any money that we might have earned during the year. And if you're like me, you don't really like paying taxes. And the truth of the matter is that you could go to your tax professional and say exactly how big a year-end tax contribution would I have to make to One Heart, One Mind Center for Spiritual Living in order to eliminate my tax liability. They can do that. And it would work because we are a 501c3 nonprofit corporation, which makes the donations you make to us 100% tax deductible. And you don't have to thank us for being here. We are happy to provide that service. Now, if you'd like to take advantage of this, you can send your donations to us via Venmo, or via, I think Jim's address is, yes, there it is.
Oops, you muted, Rob. Oops. Suddenly, for some reason. Here,
I have no idea what that was for, but anyway, I'll do it another way. Anyway, you probably heard me saying you can do this via Venmo or via check to Jim Massopust, our assistant treasurer, and I believe our giving affirmation is coming up on the screen.
Okay. Yes, it is. Hang on a second. Let me get it. All right, and there it is.
Good. So I need props to make this work. Oh, if you would repeat with me, if you are so inclined, everything flows from the nature of God's good. We receive from this flow, we give from this flow. We give in gratitude and in love. We have faith in the infinite giving nature of spirit. And so it is.
Woohoo! And so it is. Thank you, Rob. Can always count on you to in a pinch, even when it's not your turn. I don't know. All right, Yvonne, you have some announcements for us.
I do. Monday evening, tomorrow evening, 6 to 6:20, we have our silent prayer for One Heart, One Mind Center. And then Tuesday evening, we have spiritual learning, which is going along just really well. This week, we'll be discussing another spiritual practice, the process of meditation, from the book Ask and It Is Given by the Hickses. And we're really enjoying that whole thing. So that's available. And on Friday, the 23rd at 7 o'clock on Zoom, we'll have a holiday candle lighting. And that will be hosted by Reverend Michelle and Reverend Leslie, I think. Am I right about that? Both of you? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll do something just to mark this idea that of the infinite light.
Great. The New Year's release and intention setting will happen as a hybrid ceremony. You can go in person or you can do it online. Saturday, the 31st at 10:30 in the morning. Excuse me. And it'll be at, if you want to go in person, it'll be at Reverend Michelle's home.
At my
in
house.
Escondido. And I'm contemplating bringing Surrey.
Oh, you can. Charlotte would like that.
Well, you don't know. You don't know my dog. And that's everything I have.
Well, and that is beautiful. Just a heads up for Save the Daters. On January 22nd, Karen Drucker will be doing our music and our talk. So spread the word, spread the Sunday service link, because I'm really excited about it. And that's going to be so fun. So does anybody have anything else they'd like to add? I was so happy to see everybody. Let's see, I didn't say hello to you, Renetta. And Susan, are you related to Marcia? Marcia, is that a relative? Yeah, no, you just have the same last name. That's so funny.
It's a very common last name.
You know, I don't think before I met Marcia, I had actually heard the name Katz before, but welcome. I'm so glad
Thank you.
Susan is our friend. Susan.
She's a friend of ours from California, so she joins us.
That's great. Wonderful. I think maybe you have attended before, right?
She's up in Nevada, so I think so.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've lived in Nevada before.
Yeah.
That's great. Wonderful. Anybody have anything else they want to add? They want to just talk about? Just, jump right in.
I'm not certain. Did Ira and Julia have another?
Oh, that's right. I totally missed. Oh, my bad. So we forgot the what's this we stuff? I forgot the benediction and the music. Oh my goodness, I'm losing it. All right, Rob, you're on again. You're gonna do the benediction.
All right, let's do this thing. Hey, I invite you to close your eyes, settle back into your chair, just relax and feel the goodness of God. And while we're at it, let's feel the goodness of community. Let's feel the goodness of being together and feel the benefits of this group intention, the group intention that we get to discover what is truly important in our life. We get to enhance what is truly important in our life. We get to enjoy what is truly important in our life. And as we do this, the existence of God, the goodness of God just becomes so much more real, so much more certain, so much more undeniable. And I am so grateful that this is so. Grateful for this opportunity, grateful for that which we are. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. I let this go. I let it cast out across the universe, for I know that it is absolutely for certain a truth. I release my word to the universe. I let it be. And together we say, and so it is.
And that's
Oh, it
perfect.
is.
Is it okay to go ahead? Yeah. And so it is, this whole like hour of really reinforcing that sense of community. And I love what you said about that sense of belonging that we all crave, that we all desire, that we are benefiting from being a part of this community. And it's just, we know that somebody's out there thinking of us. We know that somebody's there for us if we need it. We know that somebody will, pick up the phone because they know my face, they know my voice, they know who I am. And that's no small thing, And when we think about all these holiday times and the people that might not have that community because they don't have the time, they don't have the resources, they don't have the inclination or the understanding. Don't hesitate to reach out to a friend you haven't heard from for a while. We heard a comedian the other night say, the doorbell used to ring, there was a knock on the door, and we'd run to the door to see who it was, and there would be a cake ready, and the wine would come out, the Sanka would come out, yeah. And these days, the doorbell rings and the door knocks, and we're like, don't move. Don't say anything.
Get down.
We don't know who that is. And it brings us back to the carolers of this time of year. They would go door to door singing. And I know that still happens in certain communities, and I know it's an old practice, and I don't know that I've done it many times in my life even, but I just think it's a beautiful practice. So I think this time is a tweet. It's not a tweet, but a text. Send out a note to a friend. Say hello. Here we come a caroling among the leaves so green. Here we come a wandering so fair to be seen. Love and joy come to you, and to you glad tidings too. And we bless you and send you a happy new year. And we send you a happy new year.
We
Are not daily beggars that beg from door to door. We're your neighbor's children, whom you have seen before. Love and joy come to you, and to you glad tidings too. And we bless you and send you a happy new year. And we send you a happy new year.
and
To all the people in your house,
we
send our love to you, and all your friends and neighbors around your table true. Love and joy come to you, Here we come a caroling. Yay. Just wanted to say a quick, happy holidays to you all. However you are celebrating and however our new year begins, we're just grateful to have been in your community for this long already. It's just a real blessing.
It's an honor and a blessing.
It is an honor and a blessing. So
Oh,
happy holidays to you all.
and to you as well. And it is just a distinct pleasure to have you come and play for us once a month or so. And we do feel like you're a part of our spiritual family.
Yay.
Woo.
Yay.
Do such a great job. Yeah.
Okay.